good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Inner Whisper, your sacred pause to return to yourself. It's Vane, and today's Friday. Yes, the weekend is near. That time many of us long for the rest, the breathe, the recharge, and many of us just to do things, to do everything we couldn't do in the weekend. But we definitely look forward the weekend. So thank you for being here, gifting yourself this space before stepping into those days that mean so much. This week we have walked a courageous journey together. We began by taking off the mask, releasing what we hide. On Tuesday, we allowed ourselves to ask for help, opening to the support of others. Wednesday, we learned to let ourselves be seen, allowing our truth to appear. And yesterday, we went further, showing ourselves as we are with authenticity. And today, we arrive at the close of this week. Vulnerability as a sacred power. But more than an ending, this moment is a doorway, an invitation to see vulnerability not only as a thing we explored, but as a key that can transform how we live, love, and relate to ourselves. Vulnerability is not the final step on this week. It is a constant reminder that within it lives our greatest strength. So I invite you to listen with an open heart, as if these words were an echo that accompanies you beyond this Friday and into your everyday life. For a long time, vulnerability was seen as a weakness, as a risk, as a mistake. We were told we had to be strong, invulnerable, unbreakable. But the truth is that vulnerability is the root of what we must long for, of love. Because without showing ourselves, there is no meeting place. Of trust, because without opening, there is no intimacy. Of creativity, because without risking, nothing new can be born. So, what then is vulnerability? Vulnerability is the state in which we stop controlling and show ourselves in our uncovered truth. It's allowing others to see us as we are, our doubts and certainties, our lights and our wounds. It's risking rejection, knowing that is the only way to be truly loved. It's daring not to have all the answers, to make mistakes, to try again and again. Vulnerability is a doorway to the sacred because it connects us with what is most human and at the same time with what is most divine in us. The capacity to feel deeply, to be touched by life, and to transform that contact into light. When we accept our vulnerability, we stop fighting who we are. We recognize ourselves as whole, not only strong, but also fragile, not only confident, but also afraid, not only radiant, but also wounded. And in that wholeness, we find a power greater than hardness, the power to be authentic, to love truly, to live in connection to yourself and to others. Vulnerability humanizes us, and it also lifts us. It is the ground where compassion germinates, where true bonds are born, And when we remember the strength, that strength is not in hiding, but in showing ourselves with all that we are. To close this week, I would share 3 paths to help you embrace vulnerability as a sacred power in daily life. Honor your wound as a teacher. Ask yourself, what has this wound revealed to me about myself and about life? Maybe it taught you resilience, patience, empathy, or the value of tenderness. Once you get the answer, listen to it without judgment, without criticism, just with the honest desire to listen to your best friend. Write it in a journal or repeat it out loud as a reminder of what you are, what you have already learned. Use that teaching as a compass. If your wound taught you empathy, practice empathy with someone today. If it taught you patience, choose a patient response in a concrete situation. This way, the wound ceases to be only a painful memory and becomes a living source of wisdom. Turn your fear into a bridge. Fear appears whenever you are near a vulnerable edge. Speaking up, asking, showing yourself. We often see it as a wall, but it is actually a sign that a threshold for growth is near. When fear arises, pause and name it. Fear is here. Ask yourself, what would happen if, despite the fear, I take one small step? For example, if you're afraid to share your opinion, begin with a brief, sincere sentence. Each time you choose a step in the midst of fear, your vulnerability turns into courage. And what looked like a wall becomes a bridge toward connection and freedom. Celebrate your humanity. Vulnerability is part of what makes us human. It's not a flaw. It's proof that you are alive, that you feel, that you need, and that you love. What does it mean to celebrate your humanity? Accept your emotions without apologizing for them. If you cry, let your tears flow. If you're joyful, laugh without holding back. Find gratitude in your imperfection. Instead of criticizing yourself for not having everything under control, be grateful that you can learn, make mistakes, and grow. Remember that your vulnerability connects you. When you share your humanity, you inspire others to do the same. Celebrating your humanity is remembering that you're not here to be perfect, but to be real. And that is reason enough for gratitude. But beyond spirituality, there is clear evidence of how vulnerability impacts our lives and relationships. Shared vulnerability fosters mutual trust. One person's openness inspires the other to open as well. In leadership, showing vulnerability increases credibility and closeness. Vulnerability activates brain circuits related to empathy, strengthening human bonds. And acknowledging vulnerability reduces emotional burden and supports long-term resilience. to integrate what we have lived this week, let's breathe together, releasing our masks and welcoming vulnerability as strength and blessing. Let's get ready for our breath of light, breath of healing, connecting with our bodies through our breath. Let's release all the old air from our lungs, opening the space for the fresh, oxygenated air. First breath, inhale deeply. Imagine a soft light entering your chest, reminding you of your humanity. Exhale, releasing the hardness of needing to be invulnerable. Ah. Second breath, deep. Inhale deeply, receiving the sensation of trust, as if life itself were holding you in its arms. And exhale, letting go of the fear of not being enough. Third breath, inhale, welcoming the certainty that your vulnerability is sacred. And exhale, resting in the peace of being completely you. Stay for a moment in that feeling of wholeness, strong and fragile, human and divine. Everything in you gathered together. Today, we come to the end of this week dedicated to the power of vulnerability. And perhaps the greatest gift of this journey is understanding that vulnerability doesn't diminish us, it completes us. It doesn't make us weak, it makes us human. It doesn't break us, it reveals us. As you enter this week, I invite you to carry with you the restfulness of no longer needing to pretend, the freedom of being authentic, and the certainty that your vulnerability is a gift to you and to those around you. Remember, showing yourself, asking for help, letting yourself be seen, and being yourself are not small gestures. They are sacred acts that transform your life and your world. For today's mantra, I want you to repeat this with me. My vulnerability is my sacred power. Che. If this whisper resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a comment. Tell me, let's connect. What have you discovered about your vulnerability this week? Give it a like. Visit my blog on Substack, innerlifepath.substack.com. Have an amazing weekend. And I hope you put in practice some of the pathways that I show you through this week. It is consistency and practice what make us stronger. Until then, love deeply, shine brightly, and embrace your journey. Ciao.